How's it going, guys? And welcome to the Huff YOU guide. And what I mean by that is we're going to be doing some gas harvesting, and this is for new players, man. And so in this video, I made about 18 million in 30 minutes. Technically, I could have made 36 million in an hour, but that's not usually the case. Usually, we'll just call it 20 to be fair. And the reason is I found the site, a C5 wormhole, in about 5 minutes. And let's face it, that doesn't always happen. And it also depends on the amount of the types of gas you find. Now, I didn't do this, but it's recommended that you find a gas chart to kind of identify the values of each one. So when you warp to these, you know which one to go for, which to prioritize for max profit. But what's great about this guide is you're talking about a week training time and minimum investment. You can get into this as cheap as 5 million. If you want to go the upgraded route, I'm going to be in 7 million using Tech 2 gas harvesters. And again, we're talking 7 million, 1 week training time, and a potential, like in this case, I could have made 36 million in an hour. But you know, I made 18 in 30 minutes, so we made our investment back. And moving forward, we have extra money and we could buy more, and you could potentially AFK this if you wanted to, and because you've just made this profit, it allows you that buffer to do so. And a lot of people do AFK do this, so it's a risk, but hey, it's a passive income. So let's look at what we're going to be working with. Step 1, you're going to need to train mining frigate 1. So there's 10 minutes. The more you have, the better, the faster the yield though. So you're going to want to take that up to maybe 4, just because you can knock that out pretty quickly. Next, you want gas harvesting to at least 4, but unfortunately mining is required for that. So you're going to have to train that first as a prerequisite. So plan on a couple days, but it's no big deal. It's pretty quick. Lastly, you're going to need scanning skills, at least a 3, and mine doesn't even have all of them. And I was still able to scan down this site, but it's going to help you to at least take them to 4. And if you really want to put in the time, it's something you like, maybe to 5. But what you're looking at here is the equation, range finding, pinpointing, and astrometrics. I recommend at least take those to 4. Doesn't take too long. In this case, I didn't even have pinpointing trained yet, and which would help a great deal in terms of scanning these sites down timely. So you want to buy yourself a venture, and then as far as fit goes, mine's at 7 million, but if you do Tech 1 harvesters, you can be at 5, and this is at heck prices, which are terrible. I mean, absolutely terrible. So here are my gas harvester 2s, and then I have 2 of those along with a core probe launcher 1 with just normal probes, and perhaps you'd use a micro warp drive. I can only use a civilian afterburner, so I'm kind of screwed there. And you don't even have to throw a tank on. I just had that from rat loot. And I have a nanofiber in the low just so I can get out of dodge a bit faster. The idea behind this whole thing is to keep it cheap, man. Keep it simple, keep it cheap. I mean, sure, you could tank this and whatnot, but it's just one more thing you're going to lose, because you will lose these. I mean, this is not free ISK we're talking. You're putting this at risk, so I like to keep it on the cheap. Your next step is you're going to head to Lowsec. Now you can do the Lowsec sites, but you can also do the wormholes, which is what we're looking for. But if you happen to find a gas site, go ahead, go for it. I typically will make a safe if there's not like a citadel, because if you warp to a citadel that you have docking rights to, you can just warp directly to it and get tethered, and then you don't have to worry about anyone shooting you. They can, but they can't damage you because of the tether, which is kind of nice. Otherwise, just make a safe. And at this point, I'm just going to deploy probes now and scan down a site. And as you can see, it doesn't take very long to find my first wormhole. This would go a lot faster with a scanning frigate, but you know, this is just a one ship fits all kind of deal that I'm trying to do. But if you did do the scanning frigate route, you could train hacking and such, and all the hits that you get, you could do those as well. You know, just kind of like, but you'd have to bring more stuff, 2 ships. Same thing with the combat sites. We could escalate this, but the whole deal is we're just using 1 ship. You know, newbies, this is, you know, a week time, this is what you can do with it. When you warp to the wormhole, if you could usually tell if it's going to collapse, you know, if it makes a note that it's going to collapse soon. It is a small ship. You might have time, but I typically don't like to get trapped because it's just more scan time and it cuts into your profits. I just usually go to the next wormhole if it's, you know, if it hasn't been significantly decayed, go in. But if it has, I usually don't bother. I just go to the next one just because you have to spend a lot of time getting out. It's a pain. That's just how I roll. It's up to you. So at this point, you want to bookmark the wormhole, the other side, because if you don't, you got to scan yourself out. At this point, what I'm going to do is bounce around the system. It's quite a large system, and I'm just going to descan the area. I just want to know if there's anyone active. If there is, I'll typically just move on because they will pop out probes because you're an intruder. But if you're not, if no one's active, then proceed. Another thing I always do is, as I warp off, I bookmark immediately, and that's just like a safe. And the reason you want that is sometimes locals take offense when you enter their space, so this gives you a ping, so you can warp to that instead of directly to the wormhole when you go to leave, and you can check to see if there's anyone there or like a drag bubble, and just to give yourself an option of safety, you know, just a little safety net there. It's always good to have. It's optional, but hey, you know, it's up to you. Alright, so now that we've verified that there doesn't seem to be much activity going on, let's go ahead and scan down the first gas site. Now I'm going to scan down the first one, and then I'm going to leave my probes out, because once we land to a gas site, we're going to keep scanning, and I want to bookmark a couple more. That way I can warp to the next one. And this is very critical once we get in here. You can't stay at a gas site more than 15 minutes. This is critical. If you stay more than 15 minutes, the rats arrive at this point and blow you up. And they will blow you up in seconds. So what I do is set my phone to 14 minutes as the moment I warp. Initiate warp. And once the timer goes off, I'll just warp to my next bookmark, to my next gas site. Make sure once you warp to a gas site that you have like your general or your tab that you're able to see NPCs. If you do, you want to immediately warp to the sun ASAP, otherwise you'll die. As long as the rats aren't there, you're good. And then you can go ahead and switch to the mining view so you can find the closest gas cloud. Typically, I'll set my orbit to 500 and use my afterburner. And this is just in case someone warps in cloaky. It's kind of hard for them to get up behind you because you're moving. And of course, you mitigate damage with the speed. Now, in this particular wormhole, it has the effects that makes your ship super fast. So I couldn't run with the afterburner on, but I was still going really fast. It was kind of fun, actually. But that's it. You just orbit, throw your harvesters on, and just wait. Now, you could watch Dscan like a hawk, or you could go AFK. Typically, I'll check the kill board to see the activity, to see if that's a good idea or not. It's never a good idea, but hey, you know, the investment's very little, but the gain is pretty good. In this case, there was a kill 2 days ago, and then 4 days ago, and then last year. Like this is a very low activity wormhole. The people that reside in this space aren't very active. So, or they are, or they just don't fight. So I would feel perfectly comfortable just going AFK. I have no implants, so it's not like I'm going to lose anything with this ship. But you'll see in just in just 30 minutes, we're going to, make this money back on our investment, and make a lot more after that. And so it's completely optional. I did go AFK. I wanted him in making this. But here's a little time lapse. It's just the rest of the site goes pretty quick. I scanned down a couple more gas sites, and then I warped to the next one every time my phone timer went off at 14 minutes. So as you can see, we made about 18 million, and we could have dropped this gas off, went back in, and continued to scan down all the sites and just kept going with it. It definitely would have worked out. While this is good money, not everything's always about money. With this guide that I've put together, you get a lot of experience from a lot of different things. You get to try out Lowsec, wormhole space, scanning, getting familiar with the Dscan tool, risk versus reward, and risking something correctly. A lot of people go to like Lowsec and do dumb things with nothing to gain. This, you have something to gain. And you could experience loss. You can experience gain. You get to, you get experience with all these different things. You might find that you really enjoy scanning, and now you already have the skills. You might decide to try mining with this setup and find that you like that. Or you might just like the whole risk factor or being in wormhole space. And by doing this, it only takes like a week, and you get exposure to lots of different areas. And one of those areas might be your calling, something you really enjoy. So that said, I hope you guys enjoyed this and it was useful in some way. And you have a good evening. Mistero on Dscan. Yep, someone worked here. We need to get out very quickly. And I mean very quickly. Oh, I just hit this thing. Oh, look at that. We're instantly dead. I just scanned in because they saw a venture and figured out what I was going to do. Oh, shit. Ah! That was close. That's why I love Lowsec, man. I heard this noise, like, what was that noise? I wasn't paying attention. What's the worst that can happen? Overview is kind of screwed up because I figured I'd have seen something by now. Something doesn't feel right. Let me just say all. That's better. And we're out of here. Timer's going off. Stop. 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 Yes. What's happening, guys? So what I'd like to do today is kind of do a review of how to make some money as a new player. A lot of the content here lately I've done is